Hello and welcome to another episode of Guitar Rescue. Today I'm on a guitar safari traveling the country rescuing guitars. I've been on the lookout for a inspired by Gibson ES335. So I've come out here. I'm at a super secret location here. I've come out here and found a beautiful Epiphone inspired by Gibson ES335, pretty much in mint condition. And I bought it from a private party here. And I can't wait to get it home and set it up. As you can see, the pickups are a long way, especially the neck pickup needs a major adjustment there. The action's a little high. I want to put some new strings on it, set up. The intonation is off maybe a couple of cents, but I can't wait to get back and set it up. So you'll see that quick little setup in this video. Also, here's an incredible guitar store that I love to come to when I'm out in this area. So we'll be right back. Favorite place. My favorite place. Lightning Joe's. Guitar heaven. I have to come here every time I'm in town. It's just too cool. It's just too cool in here. So I'm going to take a look at some of those. It's just too cool. It's just too cool here. Mind-boggling. Mind-boggling. Guitars. Oh wow, that's some Gibson. Look at that. I'm in heaven. I'm in heaven. A little more of the outside. It's too cool with Elvis in there. This is a great little guitar store. It's a must stop if you're in Arroyo Grande. It's a winner. So today we're going to start by, we're going to lower the action, we're going to raise the pickups, we're going to restring it, oil the fretboard, polish the frets, and then set the intonation when we're done and see what it sounds like. First thing we want to do is make sure that the neck is not bowed or concave. So I've got a capo up here on the first fret. I'm going to hold down the bass E string right about where the neck meets the body, and in the middle of the fretboard I make sure there's some relief there. You should be able to probably put like a business card through there relatively easy, and then you do the same thing on the treble, the high E string, and I like to make sure that I can hear a little relief there, and that I can put a card through there relatively easy. Okay, so this neck does not need, the truss rod does not need to be adjusted, so we're not going to go into that right now today. Okay, so the first thing, we're going to continue our measurements. Okay, you could have a lot of fancy schmancy measuring tools, which I do have and I use all the time, rulers with the right dimensions and stuff on them. But for this episode today, I'm going to show you a quick way to do stuff, because we're going to use quarters, nickels, and dimes as our measuring tools, and picks. Okay, so up at the first fret, the first thing we want to do is to check the action up at the first fret. So we are going, the action at the first fret, it should be 2/64 on the bass side and about 1/64 on the treble side. So what we can do for that is we can take a thick pick and put it on top of fret number 1 and slide it underneath the bass E string and make sure that it fits under there, that the string is not too low up at the headstock. Then on the high E string side, the treble side, we take a thin pick, which is about 50 millimeters, a thin pick, and we do the same thing where we place it on top of the first fret and we make sure it slides through there and it's not way too high or it's not too tight there. So that doesn't need adjusting. That is okay too. So now I want to bring, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the action down, and I'm leaving my strings on here for now. These strings are not that bad, so I'm going to, it should be tuned semi to pitch here. I'm going to bring the action down to where I want it. Then I'm going to bring the pickups up to where I want them. Then I will restring it and go from there. So we're going to bring the action down right now. So this has a tune-o-matic bridge on it. So you could take a business card and cut it out a little bit and stick it underneath your tune-o-matic bridge like that, so that when you're tuning it down, when you're turning it down or up or adjusting it, you don't scratch anything. And the best way to do that with this little spinning wheel is to have some needle nose pliers that are serrated inside, so they grab that little wheel. And then I'm going to show you how, when you set up a guitar, you do it for functionality, or the luthier does, but also you want to set it up for your own playability, what you like. So I'm setting this up for what I like, okay? So what I'm going to do, I'm using quarters, nickels, and dimes as my measurement tools rather than my tools. So if you're on the road and you have a bunch of change in your bag, you can do this on the road, okay? So like a quarter is about 0.175 of a millimeter. A nickel is almost 2 millimeters, and a dime is 1 millimeter. And so in this case, we want we want at the 12th fret, we want about 5/64 to start with as the height, okay? And that equates, 5/64 equates almost, it's a little more than the nickel size, but we're going to use the nickel. So we're going to take a nickel, and right now I'm going to put the nickel right here on the 12th fret at the bass string. And now I'm going to drop this saddle down, hopefully, till I get on that nickel. So I usually set my action up at the 12th fret on the low E string between a quarter, I mean literally a quarter. I like to be able to put 1/4 in there, slide a quarter in there, but not 2 quarters. So you put 1/4 and then that fits in there, and then you try to slide another quarter and you can't do it. So a nickel is probably somewhere in between that. A nickel's actually thicker than a quarter. I didn't realize that. A quarter's about 1.75 millimeters, and a nickel is 1.95, so it's a little thicker. So we haven't got down there yet. go past it and come back up. We'll see. Can you see what I'm doing here? I'm turning down the wheel on the saddle, and I got the nickel on the 12th fret, and I'm trying to bring the string down to sit on that nickel. And I think I got it there now. Just touching that. I might go a hair more because I like it low. I usually use a quarter, like I say, and this is a hair tighter. So I've come down now. I'm touching that nickel. I'm not quite touching a quarter. I think I'm going to come down a little more. This is very scientific, actually. This is the way a lot of luthiers can do this, especially on the road when you don't have all your measuring tools with you. Okay, so that's now definitely touching. A nickel touches, a quarter just slides right in there. So I may do some readjustment because I have to drop the other side down too. The other side is going to come down to 3/64 on the treble side, which is a little more than a dime. A dime is 3/64 is about 1.19 of a millimeter, and a dime is about a millimeter. So we're going to put a dime in here. I know this is crazy stuff, huh? But that's what we're going to do. We're going to put a dime in here. We're going to try to put this little card over here. I'm going to stand up and come over this side, and hopefully we're going to wind this down too. I'm going to tighten this down gently without scratching things. When I drop this side down, it might drop my other side as well, so you'll recheck. And then we're going to restring it, and we will check everything. There's a lot of room in there. There is a lot of room. This bridge was up pretty high. They have in the new Gibsons, they have an Allen wrench that goes on the top of this, which makes it really easy. You can be checking the gauge, the thickness while you're turning it. Still a little high. Now, when you're all said and done, and you put it together and you play it, you might get some buzzing, so you have to do a readjustment from there. I'm getting close. So this gives you the idea of how this works. Okay? So I am pretty close there. Now let's get my nickel. There might be a little more room for improvement there, but let's do my nickel back over here. It's still working. Quarter, almost I can fill it with a quarter. So I might come down a little more, but right now that's what I'm doing. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to raise the pickup height. This seems to be way down. So now I put a capo back on the first fret just to bring the strings down a little bit where they'd kind of be if you were playing. And I want to bring the pickups up. Plus, there's a radius to the neck. So you want to actually have your saddle, where the middle strings, the bass string is down and the middle strings are a little higher and the treble string is down. You want to follow the radius of your fretboard, okay, of your frets. Okay. I also tightened this down as tight as I could to start with, because we want sustain here. So we want this to be all the way down if we can. All right, so now we're going to bring the pickups up. So what I'm going to do there, 8/64. So I think we decided that 8/64 was, I think, about 4 millimeters. I'll get back and check that. There's 3. It's about 4 millimeters, I think. Is that right? So that's pretty close already, actually. We're going to bring that up. We need to get a screwdriver here. Now we're going to bring this up. So it's like 2 millimeters on this side. And 4 on the other. That's the way I'm doing it. So you can look up the measurements for your pickups and your guitar, what height to set them at. So you don't necessarily need to write down what I'm saying here as far as the height. Because plus it's first you get it to a medium position, and then you can fine tune it as you go. So this was like way off to begin with. So I've got about 2 millimeters on this side at the high E string, and I'm going to have about 4 millimeters on the other side, and that's a tight 4 millimeters. That is, it's a really tight 4 millimeters there. So it might be less than 4 millimeters. But again, this is something that you do, and then you got to see what it sounds like. You can also adjust the pulls, and you can adjust the pulls to follow the strings, the radius of the guitar. So the other thing I want to check now, very important thing, because when we restring it, I'll check these things again, but we want to make sure we have clearance behind these strings. If we didn't have this clearance back here at the saddle, where the string comes from the bridge to the saddle, if it's up against the bridge, you can never get the tonation done, okay, the intonation done. All right, so if I couldn't get that right, I was going to do the Billy Gibbons rap on this guitar. That's why I didn't take these strings off. But I've got plenty of room behind there so that I think when we're all done, we can adjust the intonation and not have a problem. Okay, so we should now have this height is good up at this end. I think my action should be good here now. My pickup height is better. I always thought the back pickup height was pretty good to begin with, so I'm not going to mess with that right now. It's pretty close back here. It's, you know, very close back here. It might be it's like 2 millimeters back here. I might have to do some adjusting back there. But at this point, I am going to take the strings off it, oil the fretboard. I want to polish the frets. I feel a little grainy. By the way, the quality of the workmanship on this guitar is amazing. That's why I got it. I've watched so many videos about these inspired by Gibson guitars. I have another one. I have a J45 that's solid mahogany and spruce, and it's great. And the workmanship, the frets are not sharp on this. Everything is put together really, really nice. So I can't wait to play this through a big amp after I get it all set up. So I'll go around and tighten. I believe that the gentleman I bought this from, this is the way it came out of the box. He never did anything to it. So That's why I'm setting it up to what this puppy. I oiled the fretboard, including taking this off and dropping oil down the truss rod, let that soak for a while. I went around and tightened everything, and I found that the strap button in the back was ready to come off, so that would have been embarrassing if you were at a gig and your guitar fell off and completely broke, plus it'd be heartbreaking. So you got to check everything. I checked all the, plus this little pick guard screw nut here was loose. I tightened that, and if I lost that, I think I'd be hard pressed to find that little nut to replace it. I cleaned up the pickups. I cleaned the guitar. I went back, I put new strings on it. I put Ernie Ball Super Slinkies on the guitar. Then I went back and I reset everything, and I did drop the action down some more. So I'm about on the treble side, I'm about the thickness of a quarter at the 12th fret, and on the on the low E side, the bass E, I am at about a nickel, an actual coin, a nickel. Okay, and then I set the intonation. And the intonation was pretty close, but I went ahead and set it. And the intonation is the distance between the nut and the saddle, the string length. Okay? So if you are checking, let's say you do a low E first, you start there, and then I like to, rather than fretting it at the 12th fret, I like to do a 12th fret harmonic, because that way, if you fret it, sometimes you can pull it sharp, just by where you put your finger. So I use an open string and then a harmonic to check it. And if it's too sharp, you want to lengthen the string, okay? That way. If it's too flat, you want to bring the string in a little bit, and there's all the adjustments right here on the saddle to do that. So this thing is dead on now. So let's give it a little sound here. See what it sounds like. It's just clean right now. Two pickups. And the bridge pickup. This thing is incredible. So, I'll do a sound test maybe on another video, but I just wanted to show you this guitar is absolutely gorgeous. I could find one little teeny weeny flaw when they put the nut on at the factory. They just pushed against the finish, and there's a very fine crack in the finish up here that I couldn't find it for days, and you have to be just in the right light to find that. But I also took my fancy chrome polish out and I rubbed it a little bit, which helps eliminate scratches in the lacquer. So that's the only flaw I can find. And this guitar was used, so, what am I going to do, take it back? I don't think so. I wouldn't have sent it back if I bought it new like that. It is absolutely gorgeous. So I've been real happy with Epiphone lately. I've got Gibsons. This guitar on Sweetwater, if they have a Gibson ES335, this exact color, this is iced tea, $3,500. This is probably like, I don't know, a fifth of that or less. And I don't know, I had the Gibson ES335. I don't know that I can find the difference in sound or quality. And I have another ES335 Pro over here, which is very similar, except it's got the long neck, the Epiphone Sheridan type neck. So this one is like Lucille, and this is Maybelline. I'll do a sound test someday against the two of them, but I'm really happy with the quality coming out of Epiphone lately. So we're going to let you go right now. It was a long video, but if you have any questions about setup or about the guitar, tell you what, go ahead and subscribe to my channel and hit the little bell, and you can find out when I've got something up there. And you can also hit the like button, and you can ask me comments or questions right on there. So go ahead and subscribe for me, please. Thanks. See you in the next video. It's a winner.